never slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
Take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play
Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the beautiful state of Virginia, Martinsville, the place tonight. This racetrack, historic and some considered iconic on the NASCAR circuit. It has been featured here for many decades and should be a mainstay, as this is one of the most popular stops on the circuit. Obviously, famous for its hot dogs, but also its grandfather clock if you should come across the start-finish line first. Good evening. Welcome to Red Line Racing Network. Matt up in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth. And you know it's Saturday night, which means the stars of the Gen 4 series are going to take to the racetrack here momentarily, as Nathan Jurgensen going to capture the pole here tonight. He put down a blistering lap time, and he is on a roll here in DRL. Matthew Casbaro having a great qualifying effort. Also, Ryan Moutre, or Mooch, as we like to call him, going to have a P3 starting position, his best effort thus far of the season, as those cars begin to grid out there on the racetrack. Let's take a look at tonight's race information, brought to you by Team Watson Racing Setups.
I have to make a new login. The qualifying time was incorrect. It said an hour and 10 minutes and took away from the race session time.
Okay.
So I'm creating a new login now.
Thank you so much for that update, James. Thank you so much for that update, James. I appreciate that very much, and that did translate over to the broadcast. So all the viewers got the update from the HMFIC. That is the voice of James Pandolf. So stick around. We're going to go back to the splash screen, but you won't miss anything once we go green flag action right here on Red Line Racing Network. Good evening once again, race fans. Welcome back to the beautiful state of Virginia, home to the iconic Martinsville Speedway. This race has been delayed roughly about 30 minutes as there was a session glitch with qualifying. League admins picked up on the fact that all the times were skewed. They went ahead, created a new session, got things expedited as far as what needs to happen behind the scenes before we go green flag racing. And here we are at the new and even better Martinsville. However, it's a sim world. We have the ability to do that in the background, unlike real life. One of the perks, I guess you could say, of the trade is that field begins to roll off now behind that iRacing.com pace car. Nathan Jurgensen in that tribute car to Dale Earnhardt Sr., the Intimidator. He has been a lot like him out there this season, continues to put on one heck of a clinic on the racetrack. He's going to have to pull tonight. Outside of him, it's going to be Matthew Kesbero. Joe Stafford's going to start P3. And Ryan Moutre, going to have his best starting spot, I believe, on the year. Bryce Broyer, of course, Florida's favorite driver, going to start P6. Spencer Teal, real deal Teal, in 7th. Gary Farnsworth, 8th. David Cation, 9th. And we get ready to go green flag racing here. And they waved it off. Thank you, Lord Jesus. We can go back through the starting lineup, folks. I apologize. Bear with me. We're trying to just overcome some adversity here in the early going. Picking right back up where we left off. David Cation is going to start in that 10th place position. While the HMFIC James Pandolf's going to roll off 11th. Dakota Osborne 12th. And rounding out the 13 driver is going to take the initial green flag in that Tony Stewart-inspired Home Depot Chevrolet Buzzy Mongol. That field racked, stacked, ready to rock and roll. The iRacing.com pace car has peeled off down pit road. Now Jurgensen is going to have the trigger. Green flag in the air, lowered on the throttle pedal, and for the first time tonight, those glorious V8s come roaring to life here in prime time. Up to speed here at Martinsville, and Jurgensen has already jumped out to a half a second advantage over Ryan Moutre in the 9 ride just behind him. And in fact, it is single file now through the first top 5 drivers now. First battle for position here right around the 5 ride. Throwing it back to Kyle Busch's rookie season over at Hendrick Motorsports, the 13th. Kesbaro going to rip the top shelf where Mama hides the cookies, and he's going to want to get down. The preferred lane is going to be ripping conveyor belt style, eating on the bottom of this racetrack. However, if you get too skitty, there's curbing there with an elevation change. This race car here has solid rear axles. Heck, it even has truck carbs on it. You bring that vehicle over that curbing, that's going to upset the balance of the race car. And the 13 just had a Code Brown moment as he gave it too much ghost pepper sauce off the corner and lit the Goodyears. That was a heck of a save. Oh, the 20 goes up there and has a speed date with the fence as well. A little self-inflicted concrete poisoning for Buzzy Mongol. However, he's going to be able to charge forward. This racetrack really not about aerodynamics, or, for that matter, having a pretty looking race car. You can have this thing all torn up. As long as it still drives kind of straight and it has all the power under the hood, you are good to go. Is this, of course, the shortest track on the circuit we currently run, even in the modern NASCAR era. As Buzzy now runs in that 13th place position. Spencer Teal going to have the hot lap here in the early going. Good for a 19.66. He basically ran his qualifying trim lap in race config. And remember, these cars here, there's a lot more you can do to these than you can with the current car as far as qualifying setup. You can still run tape on these cars. Granted, that's not a huge factor here, but for him to be able to do that in race config is pretty impressive as he runs in that 6th place position. He's entrenched himself well inside the top 10. Send it back up to the point now. It's all Jurgensen. He's got the mojo. as he leads over Ryan Moutre, Joe Stafford, and TBB, better known as Taylor Butcher Benjamin, the second most all-time winningest driver in DRL history. Keep your eye on the 88. Look for him to come towards the front. The Pennsylvania gang live and strong here at iRacing. And I'm not sure what it is, but a lot of the leagues that I broadcast, there is a good amount of drivers from the Quaker State up there in the Northeast, and they're all pretty darn good behind the wheel, too. Got to be very patient. You don't want to get caught out there pushing it too hard, too soon, too early. It's really easy to overheat those Dr. Feelgoods, and once they lose their grip, especially that right rear, it is going to be a miserable afternoon. And again, this series famous for having those lean, mean, and green stints where we see very limited yellow flags. In fact, this series only averages about 1.5 cautions a race. You prematurely abuse that Goodyear Eagle, and you're going to be holding on for dear life, having to wait until your pit window opens, costing you precious amounts of track time and real estate. Side by side here. This is going to allow the 5 of Bryce B and the battle with him and the TBB machine. All the 88 almost comes up and gives it to him in the business end on the 32 side of things. My point being, though, before I mention that, when you run side by side here, the car on the bottom cannot get back on the accelerator and move up the racetrack. That car on the outside is pinning him down. So what happens is that's going to back your lap times down, which allows the traffic behind you to get in it to win it. And that right there is a typical byproduct of Martinsville. Now you have everyone on top of each other. That's going to dial up the intensity even further as we now get back to single file. TBB looking to go on the offensive here as he now lurks just a car length and a half behind the 32 of Joe Safford. Let's send it down trackside and jump on board with the 32. Listen to the patience he has on the gas and that brake pedal, or the binders as I like to call them. It's all about doing the dance, being in harmony with the race car here. You can hear he is only full throttle for probably maybe a second and a half to 2 seconds. Listen to the car. Right there. Now, yes, you can jump on. You can be more aggressive. However, that is going to hurt you over the course of the long run. So you have to exercise patience and discipline, especially in this Gen 4. Remember, this car made famous back in the golden era of NASCAR. It has all the power and torque under the hood. Almost double, in fact, what the current car has, to put that into perspective. So you have to drive this a lot differently than the car of today. In fact, you want to know how to get around this place? Ask any of these guys really on this racetrack right now, or especially the gentlemen in the top 3. I mean, this is a textbook lesson. You cannot ask for, or get a better lesson, I should say, from Jurgensen, Stafford, or Taylor Butcher Benjamin as they currently run 1, 2, 3. Now he's going to poke his nose inside. Thought about it, but the 32 is going to pinch him off and slam the door on him for the time being. Taking a look out back. should Taylor slip. And caution out on the racetrack, is that's going to slow things down here to a snail's pace. 32 going to peel off, come on down pit road, so he's going to go to an alternate strategy here. And this is going to happen well inside the first handful of laps. Looks like Kyle Gray may have been involved here. Let's go ahead and send it back to the replay side of things and see what went wrong. Kyle Gray going to be in that Bass Pro Shops 78. We're going to keep the camera fixed on him, and let's go ahead and roll playback. All the 13 just got in there too spicy. Came in there and cleaned him out. Remember, the front nose of this Gen 4 car is like a battering ram, or a jack, I should say. It'll pick the back of that race car right off the ground. When those tires leave contact with the asphalt, no friction. You're basically holding on for the ride at that point. I'm not sure if the 78 backed up that corner more than he anticipated, or perhaps if he blew the braking zone. Let's go ahead and take another look at this. Cue this up again. Well under caution here for the first time this evening for incident out on the racetrack. So we've seen the external view from from the camera one. Let's go ahead and change this up a little bit. Let's jump on board with the 78. And let's send it back to the GoPro camera looking out the rear. Here we go. Slow us down here to quarter speed when they enter the corner. On the brakes there. You can see. Yeah, that 13 just didn't slow down, and you can see the back of that race car come up, and the minute it does, he is helpless, hanging on for the ride. Or the Carnival of Carnage, I should say. 78 goes flow rider mode right round, and the 13 backs it up against the fence. The good news is, the silver lining, both of these drivers will be able to continue on. And we're still early in this race. Plenty of time to rebound, however. The task is going to be a little bit tougher for both of these drivers who are looking to have a solid run here at the shortest track on the schedule. So we now cycle back to the live side of things. Green flag back in the air once again. Check out who was eating good in the neighborhood on that restart. Butcher Benjamin, of course, was able to make quick work of the 5 ride. How about James Pandolf sneaking up into the top 5? Up 7 spots from where he started. And in case you guys don't know, he is the head cook, chief, and bottle washer, HMFIC, from Bad Luck Racing. And I always tell him, you got to change your team name. That's why you got so much bad luck out there on the racetrack, and he really does. However, having a great run here in the early going, up 7 spots already. Keep in mind, this man has basically relocated twice since the start of the winter season, I believe, and he still finds a way to get a rig hooked up and everything else on top of taking care of everything DRL related. So got to thank him for all of his hard work, dedication, and all of the admins that support his efforts right here in the Dynasty Racing League. Having a great run. Top 5 going right now. We'll keep an eye on him. Do not want to invoke the broadcaster's curse, so we're going to take that camera, put it right back up to the point. As we're now 32 laps written into the history books of the scheduled 250 right here from the paperclip. And in fact, for the first time tonight, we're going to do a wide open, crank it up, all-out coverage segment. Go ahead at home, grab the dial, turn it up right here along with us on Redline Racing Network, presented by the one and only Black Magic. Race fans, I hope you enjoyed that Crank It Up extended coverage segment brought to you by Black Magic, the official designs and schemes paints provider right here at Redline Racing Network. In fact, you want to put a new vibe in your ride, get out of the static, go see the guys at Black Magic. David Dunwoody and the guys will give you 100% one-of-a-kind authentic design. And remember, it's good for 2/10 out there on the racetrack. As it's been all the iRacing's Intimidator 2.0. Nathan Jurgensen, your pole sitter and still large and in charge here as we approach lap 50. Couple offset tire strategies to speak of here, courtesy of that early caution, and that one being Joe Safford, who was, even though coming down pit road, working his way now up to that second place position. He has 24 lap pressure shoes than anyone else inside the top three. And you can see him really starting to apply the pressure to the back of the 31. Then Kyle Gray as well in the 78, pitted on lap 25. Everyone else inside the top 8 is out there with the same set of Goodyear Eagles they started this race with. So something to take a note on, as we now officially have hit lap 50. Let's go ahead and throw the pit strategery graphic up there on the main screen. You can see exactly what I'm talking about. So Jurgensen started this race with the same set of tires he's currently running on. Stafford has basically split this first 50 laps because of that caution. 24 in the first set, 26 on the current set, and you can see just how much boogie he has over these guys inside the top three with those 26 lap pressure tires. Then you go back to Kyle Gray in fourth, similar situation, 25-25 as he came down pit road one lap after Stafford. And then Brower and Teal, 51 and 51. So you can see we're already starting to see different strategies come into the limelight here. And again, big part of that is one, no stage racing in this series. We utilized the 2003 rules and scoring here in DRL, so you don't have to worry about any of that crap stage racing or any of the other stuff we do in the modern era to destroy racing. And pardon me if you don't like what I'm saying. I guess you could say I'm a purist of the way that it should be. And not that I'm against change. I think Carl Edwards said it best. You know, when you're a race car driver and you strap into a car, there's this understanding that, hey, a green flag is going to start the race and a checkered flag is going to end it. Not a competition caution where we get to go down pit road, you know, have Kool-Aid and snacks with everybody, and then strap back into the race car again. And everyone that had a disadvantage is basically erased, because that's what happens. It's almost like the participation trophy movement of NASCAR, if you ask me, but we can save that conversation for another time. But if you love everything Winston Cup era, this is the series for you. And again, these are some of the best drivers on the iRacing.com servers to do it. You can catch them every Saturday night in prime time right here on Redline Racing Network. Joe Stafford now going to take the lead from Jurgensen. Well, I was on my rant about the current modern era of NASCAR. Look how, I'll tell you what, you can really see how good Taylor Butcher Benjamin is on the longer run. He's certainly one of the long run boys. He's always good on old tires. Similar story for the 32 as well. But right now, the 88 is just a tick quicker. Last time I had the 31 ran a 20.93 to a 20.89. And that has allowed Butcher Benjamin to really start to stalk his prey for that second place position. Remember, both these drivers, the 32 has been down pit road on lap 24. The 31 has been out there on that same fuel and tire run that he started the race with. So he is going to have to come down sooner than later. And again, usually here with having 100% fuel capacity, that gas tank is going to outlast those tires. more oftentimes than not. Track temperature could become a little bit of a factor here. In fact, let's take a look at the weather conditions here right now. Clocking in at 1:24 sim time for all your military folks, 13:24. Winds out of the west at 12 miles an hour, could gust 15 to 20 at times. Because we're at a short track, that's pretty much a non-factor. 67 degrees ambient air temperature, pressure steadily falling, 981. All you severe weather guys or weather nerds out there, that falls into my category, my wheelhouse as well. 86% water drain, very humid for this time of the year in the mid-Atlantic. Partly cloudy skies, and look at that, a track temp. Almost at the century mark, 98 degrees. So that is going to put a little extra spice out there at the racetrack, because it's going to start to get greasy, especially as this track takes on rubber. So look for these racing lines and the way these drivers are attacking this racetrack to change and evolve over, or I should say, the second half of this race, really. As Stafford still continues to lead here over Jurgensen, Taylor Butcher, Benjamin, Kyle Gray, Real Deal Teal. That's your top five. You know what? Let's shout out Dave Acacia here in the Killer Bees, Matt Kenseth, Throwblacks paint scheme. He has been around this series for a long time. Also an admin, does a lot behind the scenes. Another guy having a great run here at Martinsville. With that being said, 65 laps in the books. We're going to step aside, pay some bills. Be right back with all the coverage right here from Martinsville, Virginia. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. Good evening, race fans. Welcome back to Martinsville, Virginia. I'll tell you what, Joe Safford being represented well in the YouTube.com live chat, and he is answering because right now, Big Joey S. has got the lead. He is large and in charge here at this iconic racetrack, gutted for one of those grandfather clocks. In fact, he has a sizable advantage right now over Jurgensen. Currently 2.4 seconds to the good. And because he strategically came down and put a fresh set of shoes on that race car, 24 laps to the good versus the competition, especially in P2, and caution back out on the racetrack. I may have just jinxed Joe, and I apologize for that, as I was just pumping him up about his excellent strategy there. And this is going to stack everyone right back on top of each other. I cannot believe this. The man out of Philadelphia, however, vibing right now in that clean air. That iRacing.com pace car is going to pick up the field. Stafford's going to come down pit road. And I'll tell you what, he couldn't have played that card any better. Talk about being a Houdini. The Martinsville Race Whisperer, as Michael Waltrip wants to use that line to refer to Dale Earnhardt when it came to plate racing. Joe called the start of this race perfectly. As now he's going to be back on cycle as far as fuel. 2 Kansas Sunoco Racing fuel, 4 Goodyear Eagles, a.k.a. Dr. Feelgood's going to go on that race car. And everyone is down pit road right now. It is wholesale pit stops for everybody. Farnsworth, Casbaro, Bryce B., James Pandolf, you name it. Pit road's the hottest place in the joint right now, and he's also going to win the battle off. Joe Stafford firing on all cylinders right now, as he's going to maintain the lead. And the best view in the house coming back to green flag action here. Believe the 20 is going to stay out to take the waiver round. Oh, wait, excuse me. There is no waiver round. So he's going to restart in front of the leader. So he's going to be on the tail end of the lead lap, about as close as you can get to being a lap down on this restart. That's Buzzy Mongold in 13th place. Going to restart here behind that iRacing.com pace car. However, Joe Stafford is the effective leader, and everyone else behind him will be a battle for position, including Jurgensen, the 88 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Dave continuing to impress. How about this? Dave Acacia out of Jackson, New Jersey is jiving right now. Spencer Teal having one of his best runs of the season. Farnsworth Jr. in the 42 having a great run as well. Dakota Osborne. There's Mooch in ninth. As this field gets ready to go back to green flag action. The 20 car, last car to lead lap, and look at Joe Stafford catch him on the snoozer. He took off like a 1,000 horsepower Nissan Skyline with all-wheel drive. He said, see you, I'm out of here. I'm grabbing a gear. Catch you all on another planet. What a restart for Joe Stafford. Are you kidding me? Remember guys, no traction control, no driving aids, no ABS. This car is as raw and real as you can possibly get. I have no idea how he got that thing to grip and rip like that. That was an incredible piece of driving from Joe. Remember, Jurgensen, though, was bad, fast, quick on those fresh sticker tires. So we're going to have to see if he runs them down. About 0.4 of a second interval. In fact, that's the gap as well. Positions 1 through 3. Pretty much single file already. And Buzzy Mongold trying to hold on right now. He's going to do the right thing and cycle back of these guys fighting on the lead lap. It's a great heads-up call and well-respected competitor out there on the racetrack. In fact, you see that type of give and take and that respect amongst all these drivers at times. He's now going to drop to the back of this pack as Taylor Butcher Benjamin just put down a heater. New best lap of the race, good for a 19.65. He, too, able to match his pole lap out there in race trim. That's extremely impressive. Gary Farnsworth just hit his fastest lap of the race as well at a 19.82. So we're starting to see these lap times pick up a little bit as these drivers now have more confidence in that race car. They're getting into that rhythm. And that track could be cooling down just a little bit as well. Take a quick peek here at the weather and see if that is the case. Track temp is cooling down. It's down to 94 degrees. And this is that point in time at this temperature where you start to drop just a couple points and this track will gain a substantial amount of grip here, particularly at this racetrack. And you can see that being reflected in the lap times. What in the world? Who put the broadcaster in a race car? Well, this is new. Hey guys, can you pull me out of the car? Sorry, folks, I don't have a script for this. Somehow they put me in the cutaway car. I have no visual. I'm literally stuck behind the pace car. Oh yeah, I'm in it. Folks, I'm gonna have to step aside here for a minute and get this fixed. This is a first. We'll be right back. Can someone please get me out of this car?
Then I get all excited. I'm like Jojo, the idiot circus boy with a pretty new pet.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations. Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Race fans, good evening. Welcome back to Red Line Racing Network. Matt Miller still stuck in the Red Line Racing Network cutaway car as we shifted cameras over inside. The Taylor Butcher Benjamin's ride is, I cannot get out of this thing. So I have someone else remotely controlling the cameras for me. However, my vision's a little bit impaired as I'm kind of stuffed in this race car. And if you ever been inside one, you really can't see a lot. So I have another monitor set up where I'm able to see a little bit of what's going on the racetrack as we try to get this figured out. And if we can we please get the ticker back up on the thank you. And again, folks, I do apologize. We are working to get this corrected, but you're going to have to go back to the live side of things. It's a red button. It'll say live. You're getting there. There you go. And if you click empty, that should get rid of the weather. Thank you so much. I appreciate the help. You've seen a great battle now just in front of the 88 as he has the best tickets in town for this battle, side by side, door to door. World War II style trench warfare between Stafford and Jurgensen. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. Two iRacing greats going at it. And you can see the respect being given between these two drivers. Proof you don't have to wad up race cars to put on a good show out there. How about the 32 holding tough there on the outside lane? That is really challenging to do. You're going to stress those tires out a lot more. It's really going to heat up the right front and the right rear. And eventually, you're going to send it in there. The back of that car is going to want to take off. Taylor Butcher Benjamin made a little bit of a hole there for Stafford to be able to get back down to the bottom. Getting awful close there. You really don't want to start deploying the chrome horn because once you do that, there's no going back from it. As Butcher Benjamin now takes a peek to the inside. Going to turn and burn on the bottom. Stafford's going to burp the throttle. Position change for second place is Benjamin now up 3 spots since the drop of the green flag. Joe Stafford, who started fourth, still has a strong hold on the podium in third. As that's the top 3 as they run right now. No, if you restart that, let's not do that. What we can do is go through the field right now. Picking back up in P4, the action man out of New Jersey, Dave Acacia, by far the best run of the season. I mean, he has got himself a hot rod today at Martinsville. I did not know he was a short track ace, but clearly he is all smiles and good vibes inside the cockpit of that race car. Oh, Buzzy Mongold about ate it. In fact, he does stuff it in the fence. And that's going to bring out the caution here again, as this could be a new season high, perhaps. I'll have to check that for cautions in a race. And again, not a lot of damage there to the 20. You can see a little bit of that nose on the passenger side, that fender being pushed in. Oh, there it is in the backside of the race car where he backed it into the fence. But that, nonetheless, is going to throw out the yellow flag. And this should bring everyone down pit road once again. And here they are, come one, come all. Because everyone's going to do the opposite of what Jurgensen does. If he comes down pit road, they probably would have stayed out, given a small handful of laps on the tires. And that would have made it really tough for Jurgensen to come back through the field. So you do the smart thing here. Come down pit road with everybody. Stay on the same fresh set of shoes. And you see that 83, that's where I'm sitting right now. I'm stuck in that race car. I don't why is that showing up on the broadcast? That car's supposed to be ghosted out. Still trying to get out of this, guys. Sometimes when they do updates, weird things happen, and I feel like Joe Dirt when they put him in the hole. Kind of just stuffed in this virtual race car. Oh, and look at that. That worked. A miracle. By the grace of God, I have gotten back out of that virtual race car and back into the booth. I'll take those controls back. Thank you. I appreciate the help. You did great. I really mean that. All right. That was troublesome. Under caution here at Martinsville for a self-spin involving the 20 of Buzzy Mongold, who now has it on pit road. He may have decided to park his vehicle for the remainder of the race. We'll keep an eye on that developing story. Actually, no, he's going to drop the hammer and go. Getting a report there from race control that he may have decided to take a DNF, but that is not the case as that 20 now rolls. Jurgensen, the leader, the 5 on the inside, currently running in at 8th place position. Jurgensen going to say, hey, Joe, if you can do it, I can do it too. And he rockets out of the gate. Jumps out to a half a second advantage over Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Stafford now in 3rd. And Bryce, he is hungry right now. Nothing motivates the driver of that 5 ride like Bristol. And if it ain't Bristol, it's being a lap down, and you can see the leader out your front windshield. Look at him doing the jig. Is that those Goodyears were barking fire coming out of the corner? In fact, let's send it on board with South Florida's favorite driver of the 5 ride. You're on board with Bryce. Whoa, he is flirting with disaster right now. You know, when Days of Thunder said loose is fast and on the verge of out of control, they were not kidding with that line. That is factual fact. In this car, anyhow. I mean, check out the view. That's Kyle Gray's view right there. That is wild. Only at Martinsville, as we go ahead and cue playback here one more time. That was a wild one. Let's see how this one unfolded. We'll just go ahead and wind it back. And again, we were focusing on that battle just in front of the 78. Let's go ahead and jump on board now. Oh, yeah, you can see the smoke right there. James Pandolf, the 13, is going to hit poke check, and he just cannot get this thing stopped inside, or stopped in time. How does he wind up? Oh, that's what happened. He got boxed in by the 9, and the 13 was there as well to just pick him up in the air at the right time. What a freak incident here at the paperclip. That one is wild. Big shout out to those drivers gingerly getting out of the way so they dropped the 78 back down as easy as possible to avoid suspension damage. Kyle Gray went for a wild one there. So we now go back to the live side of things. Cautions breed cautions, and that seems... Oh, they waved it off. Green flag back in the air. At lap 155, less than 100 laps remaining. It's Jurgensen, the butcher. How did Bryce Breuer get up to third? He was a lap down moment. I told you, folks. Nothing likes the flame under the driver's seat like being a lap down at a short track, and it has brought this madman to life. You don't want to get this guy hot at a short track. I watched him lap the entire field, and he's going to give him the business. Poke checks TBB out of the way. Oh, my. Grandma just dropped her PBR and threw her popcorn all over the place. Whoa, shots fired. Oh, it's about to get real. That was a textbook Kyle Busch move of the old. I don't know if he meant to do that, but that's one driver you don't want to do that to. Let's go back and take a look at this. All you short track fans, you know what this is. We don't have to say anything. We're just going to watch it. Let's roll it. TBB gets a good view of the person with the quarter entry assist there in the 5 ride. Does a great job at keeping that car out of the fence, though. And again, took a little bit of a hip check to the business end of that race car that turned him around. Let's see what this does for the 88. Is this going to invigorate him? Is this going to make him drive a little bit more aggressively? However, don't look now. South Florida has come to life here, and he has went from a lap down in 8th place position to P1. And it's not by a tire strategy here either, folks. He has one more lap on his tires than anyone else behind him in the top three. Then Jurgensen has 5 lap fresher shoes. Pace car pulls off. Here we go. Get your popcorn ready. It's about to get wild here at Martinsville. Green flag in the air, and what is... And Bryce shoots out of a cannon. He is gone. Oh my goodness. Someone has unleashed that dark voodoo cloud over this iconic speedway, and we cannot buy a green flag right now. What a restart there by the 5 ride. That is going to be erased as he somehow gapped Stafford and company by almost 2 seconds. They come back around to the caution flag. The 20 of Buzzy Mongold off the lead pace, currently in that 11th place position. Stafford P2, Jurgensen in that number 3rd and final podium place position. Kyle Gray. And the man that just got treated like a redheaded stepchild, point blank in broad daylight, in 5th. Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Moutre in 6th. Farnsworth Jr. currently resides in 7th. Acacia back to 9th. And James Pandolf round out your top 10. Well, folks, as the cautions keep a-flying, we're going to take this opportunity again to take care of our strategic partners and sponsors. Stick around. We'll be back. And it's about to go down here at Martinsville. We're starting to deploy the chrome horn here. Shots have been fired. And this could be shaping up for a very iconic and historic finish here on the Gen 4 side of things. Stick around. Don't go anywhere.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Race fans, welcome back to Martinsville, and I cannot make this up. This is like a scene out of the Looney Tunes right now. Wile E. Coyote versus the Roadrunner. Go back about 10 minutes ago. Bryce was lit and coming through the field, and he accidentally sent shots into the business end of that race car behind him the wee hours of the morning and sent him for a ride. Now he is busted and rusted, but that race car is still fast, and should he get to the back of the 5, I'm not sure what might happen. Currently, Bryce is up to that second place position. Taylor is about a half a second back right now. And I can guarantee you he has flipped the switch. He is seeing red. As he is doing everything in his power to get to the back of that Kellogg's number 5. In fact, Jurgensen so far out in front right now, he's basically on a Sunday afternoon cruise right now in his own zip code. So for that sake, we're going to keep it right here. Oh, look at him. Bryce literally drifting right down the straightaway. That's how hard he is trying to stay in front of Taylor Butcher Benjamin, because he knows. Why else would you be driving that hard? Oh, he gained a little bit that lap. A 20:33 to a 20:39. Let's send it down and jump on board with the 88. Somebody cue the Jaws music. Bryce's team radio, they have to be telling him that Butcher Benjamin has got the meat cleaver out. He is, look, let's see if he returns the favor here. I'm interested to see what's going to happen. He's looking to take a peek to the inside here. Whoa, hold on to it, 5. He caught a piece of the fence. And the 5 smartly does not contest the position. However, I must tip my hat to the 88. The reserve there, as you can tell, that car is not driving good either. I thought for certain he was going to come back and repay the favor. But again, that's why the competition in this league is so good. Understands there's still a long way to go in this one. As we work lap 187. Chooses not to put himself in harm's way, because just because you bump someone out of the way doesn't mean you're going to get by every time cleanly. I mean, you can look at real-life racing history, even look at on the simulation side of things. It's not always 100%er. But again, Taylor looking to be alive and survive You cannot win it in lap 1. They'll probably have a chat about that after the race. Is now Jurgensen out to a 3.20 second advantage over Killer Butcher Benjamin. How about David Keisha up to third? He was able to get around Joe Stafford. That would be huge if David Keisha could come out of here with a podium. I don't think I've ever got the chance to interview him up here in the broadcast booth. We always interview the top 3. Stafford going to get back by him. But nonetheless, Dave is having a run to remember out there this evening, and I could not be happier for him. Mooch coming down pit road. You know, speaking of Mooch, there was a driver that used to run with these guys, Kirby Captua. Where is he? Obviously, Captua is not his last name. We were making a spoof off of Hawk Tua, which had a lot of fun with it, and then all of a sudden this guy disappears, and still have no idea why my Red Bull car is out there on this. That is crazy. Because I got locked in that thing for 45 minutes, it felt like. And in case you're wondering, when you load in the session as a spectator, your car is not supposed to appear in real life. And or you're not supposed to get stuck inside it either, for that matter. Little bit of damage to the front nose. The air dam, no splitter on this race car. As this is before they tried to basically block off every molecule of air from getting underneath these things. The front valence on that race car a little bent up just a little bit. Caution, oh my! Forget Code Brown, that was Code Everything. Jurgensen almost hit a 4,000-pound race car to the face. Let's rewind this. I'm not sure how much time he had to react to that. Go on board with Nathan Jurgensen, your leader, who just had a big-time scare out there when the 5 finally looped it. He's been holding out of that race car for dear life all race long. Oh, excuse me, folks. I did not wind this back long enough. He saw the smoke and oh, wow. Bryce got on the hot pedal just in a nick of time. Look how close this was. Taylor always has great situational awareness. He can see the smoke, so he knows there's a problem ahead. But I don't think he anticipates this. Check this out. That'll get your blood pumping. Now let's see why the 5 went around. There could be more to this story. On board now with Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Oh, don't tell me. Oh, he poke checked him again. No, wait a minute. That has to be an old replay. Guys, stop messing me up there. You're going to give me a heart attack down here. My replay guys are messing with me. Obviously, because I had a little fun with the last incident, but that was an old replay. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Under caution here, Jurgensen leads over TBB. James Pandolf up to third. I see you, buddy. Now on board with the HMFIC. Less than 50 laps remaining in this one. Look at Dave Acacia continues to rumble. Two great runs for two longtime veterans of this series, and one of them being the owner. Oh, Pandolf's going to take it wide. He's going to get spun. Yellow's going to come back out. The broadcaster's curse strikes again, this time claiming the driver of the Moo Crew. Watch this. And James, I am sorry ahead of time. This formation right here is troubling. You can already kind of see this coming, in the words of Phil Collins, in the air tonight. Oh, two big-time impacts. Make that three. That all started. Just tried to bring too much boogie off the corner there. And naturally, that energy is gonna carry out towards the wall. And he's gonna tank slap it. This at quarter speed. Let's pause it here. Let's try to get as up close and personal as we can to this. You could see the hit there from the 39. Had nowhere to go. And that's going to send him on a beeline. He hit so hard, the front tires came up in the air. The 78 got the rear tires off the ground. And that is going to be most likely the end of a great run for James Pandolf, as I invoke the broadcaster's curse here on Red Line Racing Network. Under caution once again, as Martinsville has lived up to its name. And Dave Acacia is grinning like a Cheshire cat. The man out of New Jersey, Matt Kenseth, his longtime favorite driver. And he's looking like the Matt Kenseth of old tonight at this racetrack. He is on it tonight. Pace car pulls off. Jurgensen once again going to have the trigger as we come out of the turns 3 and 4 complex. Look at Jurgensen go. That's not fair. Like, how do you compete with that? No one shows you how to get going like Nathan Jurgensen. Ladies and gentlemen, for the final time tonight, we have to step aside, but when we come back, we're going to have all-out coverage to the checkered flag, driver interviews, and more right here on Red Line Racing Network. Stick around. We'll be back momentarily.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations. Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Redline Racing Network's 22 laps to go in this short track showdown here from Martinsville, Virginia. And believe me, this racetrack has lived up to the name. Over 250 scheduled laps tonight, as we're now one shy of the 20 mark. Matt Mettler up in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth. Want to thank all of you for joining us here for all the high-fly and high-octane racing action. Is Jurgensen looking to add to his win total, as it has been another almost picture-perfect evening for the 31 camp. Tell you what, the driver that's really overcame a lot of adversity today, and quite frankly, still fighting an ill-handling race car, still in that second place position, Taylor Butcher Benjamin. The 5 did lead at one point as he came back from a lap down. However, not the case right now as he finds himself back in that 8th place position, about 20 seconds off of the lead pace here. So he is not far from going a lap down, as they're currently clocking laps here in about the mid-20-second bracket. About a second and a quarter off some of their best laps of the races. We're starting to transition from Dr. Feel-Goods to Feel-Bads. David Keisha, can he do it? Oh no, Farnsworth is going to get by him for that 3rd place position. Farnsworth having a great run as well. That's going to slide Dave back to 4th. However, it is not over until it's over. He still has 16, now 15 clicks left. Oh, he hit the curbing. You don't want to do that, Dave. We know what that does. How about James Pandolf having a great top 5 run? Spencer Teal in the Bojangles ride. I think that's Bojangles. Actually, it's not. I take that back, but it certainly looks like their colors. In that Toyota. Another man that's lit it up Been very exciting to watch. Mr. Excitement. Oh, is that netcode? I swear that looked like netcode. That car reacted like the 42 hit him, and it certainly didn't. Is now... He's able to get on by, and that's going to put a barrier between the 42 and the 17. Bryce is going to get out of the way. Don't loop it around again, buddy. Hold on to her. Is that car clearly not happy with the current setup in it out there on the racetrack? You can see Bryce is just sliding this thing all over the place. Like the Waffle House dumped the bacon grease out there all over the racetrack. That's how that 5 is tracking right now. On cruise control and autopilot engaged. Jurgensen comes around as the gentleman's handshake lap goes up on the board. 10 to go here from the paperclip. Want to take a moment to thank all of you guys for turning in this evening, or showing up here this evening, I should say. John Woods, Dylan Banks, coming over from SNN saying hello. Phew, good to see you as well. Matt Casbaro, who was currently in the race earlier, trying to coax me to get on the racetrack in that race car that shouldn't be there, which I got stuck in for quite some time. We're not going to do that. Appreciate all of you being on board for the ride. As we cover all the high-fly and high-octane racing action right here, all things DRL, every Saturday night. As we continue to keep the cameras pointed. Oh my, no way. Woo-hoo-hoo. It ain't over until it's over. I tell you what, I've had my motor code stuck here all week, because we've been live every night since Wednesday. And this has happened 80% of the time in races this week. And I have got a highlight reel that's going to be put together, and it is nuts. Even going back to the next gen action on Thursday night. One of the most bizarre and crazy endings you will ever see at this racetrack. Now, what does Jurgensen do here? Believe they've used all the available sets of tires, at least the drivers inside the top three, or the top three have. Pace car picks up the leader. That's going to give Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Dave Acacia, who has gotten back by the 42, a shot at a win. Also, on the other side of that coin, the chance of losing a podium finish here. Race control giving instruction and command to all the competitors out there on the racetrack right now. They want to make sure they get this right. Believe we're going to go back to green flag racing for a 2-lap shootout. Keep your eye on the pace car. Those lights are still on. Let's widen out the camera here a little bit. Jurgensen goes up there and gives the pace car the business. And they do go out on the pace car, which means we're going back to the live action next time by. They're going to take the green flag with just 2 miles to go. Or excuse me, what is going to happen here in the final closing laps at Martinsville. Jurgensen does it again on the restart. He gets going. Taylor Butcher-Benjamin still holds on to second. Gary Farnsworth able. Look at James Pandolf going for third. Applying the pressure. On the final lap, Gary Farnsworth Jr. is on the brink of getting himself a podium. Is David Cation now outside of the top 5 for the first time in a long time? Off the final corner, Nathan Jurgensen is going to keep the mojo going and the boogie under the hoodie alive, and he is going to win and tack another one on to that extensive win column this season. Taylor Butcher-Benjamin, the series' second all-time winningest driver. He's going to come home second. And Gary Farnsworth Jr. is going to get him a podium in the Dodge. And he is going to burn the house down, get all the good out of those good years, buddy. You don't need them anymore. This is a lean, mean winning machine here. Is he's now doing donuts, weaving in and out of traffic. He just pulled a Chad Knaus there. Said, hey, make sure you wreck the car after you win so it passes inspection. No, that's not the case. This is a fixed setup race. Your winning moment brought to you by Team Watson Racing Setups. And look at him burn the tires through 2 cars. I have never seen anyone do that before. As part of a post-race celebration. He's going to do it right through him again. Now going to give it the Polish victory lap made famous by the late, great Alan Kowicki. How fitting to cap off another dominant performance by the Intimidator 2.0. This guy is on a hot streak, one like I have not seen. Jurgensen, your winner here from Martinsville, Virginia. He's going to score himself a grandfather clock. We're going to step aside, reset the graphics. We'll be back in 30 seconds with post-race interviews and more right here on Redline Racing Network. We'll be right back.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad with a
watching
little
your
push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Martinsville, Virginia. Well, Nathan Jurgensen kept his grip at the paperclip and lit up this racetrack and the competition once again. He is your winner. In the words of Limp Bizkit, he's just going to keep on rolling, baby. This is some type of a performance or some type of a drive, I should say, from this man in the 31. Every week, he is just bad fast, and if he does find a way to get behind the 8 ball, he has a solution. As we now shift to post-race coverage, as always, going to hear from the top 3 finishers, give them an opportunity to speak with their fans, their friends, their family. Before joining me up here in the booth, standing by now, Gary Farnsworth Jr., welcome to the Tony Trapassa Memorial broadcast booth. And heck yeah, brother, you got yourself a podium. How you feeling right now after that run down there on the racetrack, buddy?
I'm feeling pretty lucky, to be honest. I didn't feel I had any speed all night, but I kept it clean and got there.
Hey, sometimes that's what this place is all about. We've seen throughout history how treacherous this racetrack can be, and sometimes you just have to be patient, survive, and be alive. And quite frankly, I think you had some great long-run pace in that race car, man. Congratulations on coming home third. How were you able to keep that machine out of trouble and find the speed and balance when you needed it to come home third?
Well, I started using about 3/4 throttle down the straightaway early on, and that led to my rear tires being a lot better in the long run.
I'll tell you what, that's a smart decision on your behalf. And in fact, when I went on board with you a couple times, I felt like you weren't going wide open throttle, but I wasn't certain. But now that you've mentioned that, that really makes sense, especially with how we get those long green flag runs here in DRL. When we had that little bit of a yellow flag stretch, did that change up your strategy at all, or did you stay tried and true to the game plan you had before the drop of the green flag?
No, I changed up my strategy a couple times. I had about 30 seconds of damage I had to get fixed, so I got in there a couple times and got that fixed up and got ready to go.
Heck yeah, brother. I am fired up and I'm happy for you. What does this do for the confidence level? And obviously now you have some mojo on your side for next week. How you feeling about your chances to repeat and put it back on the podium next week?
Well, my goal is always to finish, but hopefully a top 5 would be great next week.
Absolutely, man. I'll tell you what, nothing like a good run to help in that department. Confidence is everything, and certainly coming home with a solid performance here is going to do wonders for you next week. I firmly believe that, at least that's how it affects me every time I have a good run, or if I'm lucky enough to get a win. I always feel like I perform beyond my expectations the following week, and I hope that's the case for you, Gary. Before I cut you loose, man, is there anyone you want to thank who helps you get it done on the 42? The floor is yours.
Well, I'd like to thank my dad. He helps me out a lot painting the cars and gives me tips on driving. He was a dirt driver for a long time, so he's been a lot of help to me.
Absolutely. You got to have a little bit of help, and great to have the family involved. You said former dirt track racer, so I'm sure he likes seeing you out here on the virtual side of things. And I got to ask you, being a Dodge, that's a Kurt Busch scheme on your car, correct?
Yep, Kurt Busch. Yep, I love that car. I love the throwback cars, but yeah, I went with Kurt this week.
Great looking scheme on that Miller Lite Dodge Charger out there on the racetrack. We appreciate you joining me up here in the booth, buddy. Best of luck to you next week, and I hope we speak with you again really soon.
All right, thanks a lot, guy.
Appreciate you. And put you back up in the broadcast waiting room. And again, that the voice of the 42, piloted by Gary Farnsworth Jr., who had a great run here this evening. It looks like the other two drivers may have already hit the beard tent on us and skipped out on the interview. Let's see if we can find him, track him down here. Caught TBB doing a keg stand. Let's see if I can grab him by the back of the collar here. Joining me now in the Tony Trapassa Memorial broadcast booth, a driver that keeps on finding ways to overcome adversity on the racetrack. His race car was used and abused, but it didn't matter. Still able to come home with a second place finish. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, welcome to the Tony Trepass Memorial broadcast booth. What a run for you tonight, sir.
And when you say used and abused, you weren't kidding. I still had almost 3 minutes worth of repairs. Everything was going pretty smoothly first half of the race, per se, maybe a little longer than that. But between me and Nathan and Joseph, I mean, it was pretty much a 3-car battle. And then kind of got typical Martinsville wildness started to take over. And then that one, I don't even know what happened on that restart. Somebody missed a gear, and I was going to like push my way through it, and I still haven't seen a replay, but I got absolutely T-boned from behind and lifted off the ground. And I don't know if that's what caused most of my damage, because it was mainly in the front suspension. I mean, I had to pretty much put my right forearm against the wheel to get it to turn properly. But I mean, other than that, still, I enjoy racing at Martinsville, and especially when guys, know what they're doing, and we can put on a great battle. And sitting in the room with Nathan, I mean, last couple of weeks we've been kind of unstoppable here. He pushed me to the win at Dega, working well with him all race last week, and then him and I were pretty much in the 32 until his issue. We're pretty much the class of the field, I think. So good deal.
Well said, and I could not agree with you more there, sir. I mean, as we're watching Nate do burnouts in between yourself and the 42 out there on the racetrack, that was fun to watch, by the way. You mentioned great drivers being able to put on a phenomenal performance out there on the racetrack, and without question, that's what yourself, Nathan Jurgensen, the other guys that we were running with there, the top 3, were able to do. I mean, that was a classic Martinsville battle between you guys, and that's about as good as it will ever get. And the second part of that is when you surround yourself with good people, and you're already a very well-known and a very talented driver. Obviously, you don't become the second most winningest driver here all time for nothing. But it really seems to have elevated your game, if that was even possible, just a little bit more. And you are on a roll, and so is Nate. I mean, you guys are, if you could bet in DraftKings on this league, without question, you two would be in my starting lineup each and every week, because it's almost a guarantee. You never want to say it's 100%er, because things can happen out there on the racetrack, but you guys are consistently the class of the field. And even with as beaten and battered as your race car was, and I knew you were fighting that car for dear life, you were able to will it to a second place finish. I mean, that is incredible, and that speaks volumes about how good you are as a driver here on the iRacing side of things. You have to be worn out after that. I mean, how you feeling right now? Or would you go back out there again and do another 250?
I mean, I'd be down for it. I mean, that did take a lot out of me. I mean, even when the car was in perfect shape, it was still tough to drive. I mean, like, it was really on the takeoff. It was just really when you're spinning the tires like halfway down the straightaway, which we're causing. It looked like we were just swatting flies down the straightaway, and then kind of, it made it a little easier to easier through the corner, and because I think that's what Nathan and I kind of figured out is we were running about 90% throttle down the straightaway, not getting fully wide open, and he was doing it, and then he suggested I try it, and I picked up a tenth and a half, and that was like, I don't know, 40, 50 laps into the run. So
that's huge.
It is. Yeah, it really is, especially on a place like this where you get around here in 20 seconds.
That's some great intel and feedback. And, that's something we really don't hear about with the car of today, with the severe reduction in horsepower and torque. I mean, if you put your foot to the floor, you burn that right rear off in no time. And just like you said, you figured out that less was more with the throttle there, 90%, and you picked up a tenth and a half. And, that really has a big part in the long run speed and the longevity of the balance of that race car. And clearly, it's that seat time and it's that experience that you guys have and the communication between the both of you that really just seem to elevate your game each week. And, here we are once again. Taylor, before I cut you loose, man, who do you want to thank? Who helps you get it done? And how long can you keep this streak going, man? What's the confidence level like for you?
I mean, confidence is high, but I mean, anything and everything can happen on the racetrack. So definitely got to, ride the highs when they come for you. But first thing I like to say is hope Donald Hickson is doing all right, because I know he was looking forward to this race, and evidently he had to miss it for some family emergency. So hopefully everything's all right on his end. And as far as who I got to thank, I mean, thank Nathan. We've known each other a few years, kind of in and out, based on, Lee's, like, his amount of time spent just on the sim. I mean, when I've known him a little bit back then, but now, it seemed like we were really gelling pretty well. And of course, thank Danny Rogers again, although I'm not sure why he didn't run tonight. But of course, and also thanks to James for putting on the league and still scrapping, given his work situation, not being at home and running on hotel Wi-Fi, I think is what he's doing. And of course, thank you for doing the broadcast, and thanks for everybody tuning in to the broadcast.
Well, I'll tell you what, Taylor, when you guys put on a show like that each and every week, it's hard to not want to be up here in the broadcast booth, and hard for these viewers to, go and do something else when this is the standard that you guys are putting out here on the racetrack. Absolutely incredible stuff. This is one heck of a run for you. I can't wait to see how this evolves and continues to change over the course of the 2025 campaign. Congratulations once again on another podium finish, another top 5, another statement made out of the 88 camp. I appreciate your time and look forward to speaking with you again really soon, buddy.
Yep, thank you. Hopefully, I actually just ran, because we're at Kentucky next week. I just ran Kentucky in the ARCA car, the new one, of course, totally different than these, but if it drives similar to it, that should be another good show. So hopefully get another good run next week.
Absolutely. You certainly have everything on your side rolling for you, and I think you're going to come out of there. Well, you know what? I don't want to, like you said, count the chickens before they come home to roost per se, but I think you're in really good shape getting into next week and throughout the course of this season. Thanks for your time again, bud. You have a great rest of your weekend.
Yep, thanks. You too.
And that is the voice of the legendary Taylor Butcher Benjamin, second all-time winningest driver here in the series. Always appreciate the opportunity to speak with him, and again, give such great feedback and analysis. And when you have the expertise that he does, that's the type of stuff we live for as a broadcaster, to have all that up here in the booth during these interviews. Appreciate everything that he does every time he puts that race car out there on the racetrack. Put him back into the waiting room, and let's see if we can find, as he said, his partner in crime, Nathan Jurgensen. Where is he hiding at? Usually he does not skip out on the interviews, so I'd be shocked if he did. I think I found him. Joining me now in the Tony Trapassa Memorial broadcast booth, the driver that just keeps on rolling into victory lane, Nathan Jurgensen. Another stop on the schedule. This time it's a short track, and it's the same end result. What a drive. What a performance. Congratulations on another victory. And how the heck were you burning out in between cars on the racetrack? That was absolutely incredible.
I'm glad you caught that.
Yes, I did.
That was took me a couple of tries. The first one wasn't so good, and then the second one I thought was pretty clean. So that's what's most important, is getting a good burnout. But I mean, it was actually kind of tough because the rears, I had no rear tires like this. The setup was very hard to put the throttle down all day, so our rear tires were so hot. Like we weren't full throttle on the straightaways. That just made for a really fun but challenging setup today, and that's how I remember this race, was just trying to keep the car underneath you for 250 laps.
It's funny. I should say it's funny, but you bring up a good point about the throttle control. In this Gen 4 car, I mean, this thing just makes horsepower and torque for days when you compare it to the car of today. And every once in a while, I get a chance to jump back in this car, and I put a lot of seat time in on the next gen. That's when I have time. That's where I guess I put it. But when you jump back in this car, it really humbles you quick, fast, and in a hurry. I took that car out there for a couple laps, and I could not believe how easy it was to light up those rear tires. So the amount of throttle control and discipline that you guys have to have out there just to keep that on the racetrack, forget about being competitive, I mean, is really something that I think a lot of people overlook. And then the other part of that is, not being able to put the hammer down, or, less is more per se. I think, Taylor said around 90% throttle. Was that something you happened to stumble on throughout the course of the race? Or did you kind of already know about that and kind of work at it over the course when you're getting ready and prepping for tonight's race?
Yeah, I got to do a few laps in practice before the race started, and I pretty quickly could. I mean, a lot of us, and if you're not doing it, is crank your tire sounds up in the car. You want to be able to hear your tires at all times.
Yes, sir.
Even if it's like a little unrealistic, and they should be as loud as the engine, you should be able to hear them. And when you're going down the straightaway, probably 10, 15 laps into a run, I could actually hear the tires while I was going straight. So that tells me that I'm probably spinning them a little bit. So what I would do is, 10, 15 laps on the tires, I've got my Delta on, that tells you like last lap, compare this lap to last lap. And I went 90% throttle down the straightaway, and my Delta didn't go red. It stayed the same. So I was going the same speed, 90%, 100% throttle. So you want to use 90, right? Because what are you doing with that other 10%? You're spinning the tires, you're wearing them out, you're heating them up, which is only going to make the tire spin worse. You're going to have to even use less throttle down the straightaway. So that's what I was kind of doing all day, was using as little throttle down the straightaway as I could, keeping those rear tires as cool as I could all race, and try to make my lap time with my front tires, throw it in, deep into the on entry, crank it on center, and then just be real gentle on the rears, like even down the straightaway. And I think that's how, I had some fun battles with Joseph today.
Absolutely.
He was really fast. And that's kind of where the difference was 20, 30 laps into a run, was I think I had a little bit cooler rear tires. So I was going 90 down, 90% throttle on the straightaway. I can't speak for him or what he was doing, but I think he might have, had to use a little bit less throttle because he was spinning his tires more. His tires were a little hotter, I think. So I think that was the difference.
And I think you're absolutely right. And as I jumped on board with a couple different drivers throughout the course of the race, I believe it was you I picked up out of the broadcast where I felt like you weren't running 100% throttle. I was really paying attention to the sound of the engine and watching the tachometer. And I felt like, like you said, 10 to 15 laps into the run, you started backing it down a little bit. And I think it had a big part to do with your long run performance. And then obviously, having the knowledge of, hey, if I'm heating up my rears, I got to put some heat in the fronts, right? So you drove it in deeper, tried to balance those tires out. And I mean, you and Taylor were just so quick on those long runs. And I mean, that 88 was trashed, and he still found a way to bring that thing home second. So clearly you two working together has, obviously been very beneficial. And both of you guys have just been the class of the field, putting on great performances. And I got to ask you, those restarts, I know it's the same car and the same horsepower for everyone who loaded into the session, but my God, from the booth, it doesn't look like it. How do you get that thing to take off like that without giving away too many secrets?
Oh, I'll give anything away. I don't care about that. But I mean, honestly, probably using less throttle, like going less hard, because you want to find that limit, and of using as much throttle as you can before you're going to be spinning the tires, because you're not going anywhere when they're spinning. You want them to have constant traction to propel you forward. And
Right.
so sometimes if you use too much throttle and they start spinning, somebody's using less throttle actually drive right past you. So that's kind of I mean, there's really nothing more than that. And short shifting, I wasn't anywhere near the top of the tack when I was shifting to third and fourth there on those restarts, because just you didn't need the top of the tack, right? Like you didn't
Right.
need all the horsepower. All the extra horsepower was just going to make your tires spin. So you just kind of short shift a little bit.
Well, there you heard it, folks. Granny shifting, not double clutching like you should, is the way to put some serious lap times on the board out of the man that did it better than anyone else. That is the one and only Nathan Jurgensen, as I coined him, the Intimidator 2.0. And he looks like him out there, especially with the way he has been putting these performances together. Nate, before I cut you loose, who do you want to thank? The floor is yours.
Thank you for the kind words and doing the broadcast. Shout out to Taylor. It was fun when I was riding with him in Discord all race, and obviously, yeah, he had almost 3 minutes of damage. I only had a minute from that one restart wreck. So at the end of the race, it was kind of unfair. He didn't really have a shot to get at me. I was telling him, "Dump me, hit me." And so shout out to everybody else that showed up and anybody that's watching, and especially to James for putting this on. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Kentucky next week. Hopefully that one's a little bit cleaner.
That's right, folks, and make sure you smash the like button, ring the bell so you can be here to watch all the high-flying, high-octane racing action as Nathan Jurgensen and the rest of the gang take on the Kentucky Speedway. That's next week in prime time right here on Red Line Racing Network. Nate, you have a great rest of your weekend, and I look forward to speaking with you again really soon, my friend.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
I'll go ahead and put you back down in to the broadcast waiting room. I'm telling you, folks, this man is on some type of a hot streak. I mean, you've seen it in real life. You think back to Jeff Gordon there in the late 90s, early 2000s, and, that's just the type of vibe I'm getting from the 31 right now. And I don't want to take away from what some of these other guys are doing out there. But, I mean, he's like Superman. It's incredible what he has done, and it's fun to be a part, to watch that happen and evolve on the racetrack each and every week. As we now wrap up post-race coverage here from the Paperclip. And unfortunately, it has reached that time where all good things must come to an end, including this broadcast. I want to thank all the partners, sponsors, Team Watson Racing Setups, the official setup shop, and Black Magic, the official custom wraps and design partner. Cannot do it without you guys. All the league admins, men and women behind the scenes, James Pandol for everything that he does. And as the late, great Tony Trapasso used to say, as you walk down the road of life this week, do us all a favor, don't play in traffic, and we'll see you next time right here on Red Line Racing Network.